Welcome to a new episode of Founders, Builders, Innovators podcast. I'm the host Jori Karvonen, and today I have pleasure to have one of the most experienced and connected person in Nordic scenes, Juhani Polkko, who is the founder of San Francisco agency and currently working on Valosan. Welcome to show, Juhani.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Could you please share more about San Francisco agency and the Valosan company?
Yeah. So San Francisco agency is a leading Nordic PR and communications agency for innovative, internationalizing startups and growth companies, and also corporate development units. And we're a team of 15 people, mostly based here in Helsinki area, but also we have an office in Stockholm and in the US. Valosan is a technology company, a spin-out and a startup unit of San Francisco agency, building our own AI and human-driven PR platform.
Super fantastic. Let's dive deeper in your motivation, why you became entrepreneur and how it started. So if you can share your personal story.
Yeah, it's a long story, but I'll try to keep it short. I'm originally from a small town called Naantali in Finland. I started working first distributing ads when I was maybe 11, 12 years old, starting to make some own money, and then continued on computer hardware business since I was 15 years old. Founded my first own business when I was 18 years old, and most of my family are not entrepreneurs, so I didn't know what to expect and where to go. Only my grandma used to run a village, like a local shop in Kultaranta village in Naantali, and maybe without me understanding might have been one of my inspirations. So early in my career, instead of going to study from high school, I continued working for a while in the hardware business. So basically importing and selling computer parts and equipment which were not available in Finland or very expensive at the time in the 1990s, so a while ago. Then founding my first startup, did my military service, and then decided that, hey, I have plenty of things to learn, so I got a real job in a distributor importing company in the same product category. So I started to do sales there, even door to door to businesses and retailers, and then continued to become a project manager, and found basically a small client, and were able to develop it as one of the biggest one in the company.
Before we continue, can I ask a couple of questions about your very early experience? So if I understood correctly, when you was 18, you was selling the IT parts. So you was bringing outside of Finland, you was ordering them.
Yeah.
And was time before internet, like bubble started?
Yeah, definitely before internet bubble. Internet was like the companies had some basic websites, but basically business was run by phone and telefax. So during high school, I went to my home where my parents lived, and then during breaks in the high school, basically faxing orders to Germany and Taiwan and so forth. So that was how business was run by the time.
But this is super brave movement from 18 years old, a teenager who is just from small town and like building some kind of international company, like dealing with international businesses.
Yeah, I started a similar business when somebody else was running another company, so I was there not even as an employee. So I made I didn't make money, I got the equipment I needed, and that was the motivation. My family didn't have money to buy all the latest hardware and gear, so I started to do this purely from the kind of the desire to get the latest stuff.
And what kind of reaction was from the company's side, like when you contact them and asking them for parts?
Yeah, I don't think there was nothing unusual. I had a pretty decent English language skills already back in the day, and they probably didn't know how young I was at the time.
That's great.
And also, most of the stuff I had to pay in advance, so I had to actually trust the vendors and pay them.
Okay. And in your grandmother grocery store, you was working for candies.
Yeah, that yeah. I think I was probably like something like 5, 6 years old when I was sitting in the store. It was tiny stores. I at the store like 20 square meters or something like that. And she lived in the same building upstairs, and there was some storage room in the basement. But yeah, I was guarding the candy area.
Yeah, but it showed at the same time that your mindset was from young age already entrepreneurship, that you was dealing with this kind of deals.
Yeah. I think that was obviously I didn't realize it at the time. Probably my parents didn't realize it at the time. I even had this like play store at our summer house, and we're kind of selling cardboard boxes, this sort of thing, or tickets to different stuff that kids even today do. But it was all play in the beginning.
Nice. Okay, so please continue your story.
When working at this distributor company, I also realized that next step would be to me actually studying something. So I got into a bachelor's program on international business, but I never went into full like a study and student mode. So I actually continued working. I had very flexible hours, so I was able to go to work in the morning and work some hours and then go to school and take classes and so forth. So it's kind of a part-time work and study together, or maybe full-time both. Interesting and important part of this study was that all the students were expected to go abroad for a exchange or a work internship. And so a couple of my friends went before me, one to Singapore, another one to San Francisco. So I visited both of them, and that kind of I got this travel bug in me that is still going. So since 2001, basically been traveling by myself or with friends, and Singapore was amazing, but San Francisco was something that really touched me because I could see those signs and towns and all that I knew from the products I was selling since already 10 years at the time, or using those products. And then I thought that it would be amazing to get that. I wasn't even seriously looking for a study exchange, but because I had worked already so many years, I wanted to find an internship place, and I heard from somewhere, read from somewhere that the Finnish organization Finpro at the time, which is now Business Finland, were constantly hiring interns in Silicon Valley office. So I looked up their phone number, just called them when I was there, asked like I would be interested in this, and can I learn more? Can we have a lunch or something like that? And the head of the Finpro office, Jussi Heinilä, which is nowadays successful startup angel investor, was like, oh, this sounds a bit weird, but yeah, let's have a lunch, and we were able to organize it in a couple of days' notice. And at the end of the lunch, he said that, hey, yeah, we'll figure it out somehow. And they didn't have any availability at the time, but it took another maybe 12, 18 months, and I got that internship there and moved to California.
Nice. So it sounds like even if they didn't have this kind of position, if you ask, there is high possibility that new opportunity will be born based on your request.
Yeah, I thought that might be possible. In the government organization, it's a little bit more complicated than in a private company. But there was a kind of an extra seat that they were able to organize.
What is your personal opinion? How the Silicon Valley changed since then and now, like if we compare?
I'm not sure if I'm the right person to answer. I was there last time 6 years ago, and I think a lot of things have changed, but a lot of things have, you know, is still the same. I think, you know, when I moved there, you know, even these, you know, mobile devices were not a thing. It's that long ago. So there were like some startups in the area, but really Nokia was the world's leading company at the time for mobile devices and technology, and Motorola wasn't, you know, that active in Silicon Valley and so forth. So people were really listening to what the Finns had to say about this scene and so forth, and our clients were Finnish startups building mobile games or content and different technology things. So things happen faster. So once they, you know, people got a hold of the opportunities with mobile, things started to explode and led to the launch of iPhone and so forth a few years later. And obviously then trends are changing and moving forward, and you know, AI has been one of the driving forces in the past few years. So companies like Nvidia and others based in the Valley. This is, you know, business side. I'm also always equally interested in how the, you know, how the environment, the city, the culture, and all that develops. And obviously, there's been a lot of negative changes also. In the city of San Francisco with the truck problem and also retail leaving the city and so forth, and you know, it's been back and forth. I don't know what the situation is right now, but there's been a plenty of social issues, even security safety issues. There's been a friend of mine got robbed on the street and got injured really badly. Had to go to an hospital and so forth. Those kind of incidents are still luckily very rare in Helsinki and most of the European countries, but there it's become more dangerous even to walk on the street, and that's really sad and unfortunate. But you know, especially, you know, first maybe with Tesla, and then, you know, the AI boom, you know, Silicon Valley hasn't the importance hasn't dramatically reduced, even though rest of the world has maybe picked up a little bit.
Very interesting. If I hear you correctly, you mentioned that at that time Finns had some kind of a very good image or status. Does it still applies to nowadays, or?
Yeah, I would say that it's two-sided. How I felt it was that people who were investing to companies or somehow connected to mobile operators and business really appreciated Finnish technology and Nokia and the ecosystem around it. But I think generally in the US, Finland was not very well known. So there were incidents. People we talked to did not know anything about Finland, or mix it up with Newfoundland or and so forth. So I think nowadays Finland is much better known. Sweden was back then maybe known, but the Scandinavia or Nordic area was kind of generally better known, but not Finland specifically. That's how I felt it was.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so after FinPro practice, you went to Miami to work on startup.
So I continued to work at FinPro another year after the 6-month internship, and I one of the things I'm always laughing. I want to say that, you know, I had a proper job in Finland, had a good salary on my level because of the sales commissions and all that, and being successful in that work. And when I took the internship, my salary was 800 euros. In Silicon Valley, my rent was maybe 900 in a small apartment and so forth. So I had to, you know, use my savings to make a living there. But that was important and investment that really paid it back multiple times. I was very well connected with the Finnish community there, and we traveled a lot and really enjoyed the beautiful California nature and all these road trips, and it was amazing. And we still have that group together, so we are meeting next week here in Helsinki with the group. So that was a really important time also growing up in my 20s. One of our clients and also part of the Finnish community had sold his gaming company and had a new idea in this mobile content space, and we decided to build a startup together, just two of us in the beginning. He invested some money for it, and we founded the company in San Francisco, the city, and deliver company and all the startup basics. So it was a startup as on its roots. It never became any success story. I think we probably made all the possible mistakes we could, and we were quite close on doing the right thing. So another company, which was just one guy that we cooperated with, he was able to grow the company in 4 years to a 700 million exit to Google. But we were, partnering with them, not directly involved. And also Y Combinator, the world famous startup accelerator, was founded I think it was almost the same month that our startup, and we were only 2 months from each other, but we didn't know about them at the time. So you need to be lucky. We were not very lucky, and we missed some of the opportunities. But it's easy to see that sometimes these similar paths lead to big success stories. We moved to Miami because we, as youngsters, felt that we can do whatever we like, and we had just after a few beers in November decided that it's going to be too cold in San Francisco and Northern California for the winter, so let's try something else. And we packed our bags and rented a car and drove across the country to Miami to live in a fancy condo, and nice fun life, maybe bit too much fun at the times in Miami, South Beach, Miami, and that was probably one of the contributors to the fact that we started to scale down the company or put it away after only a year from the founding. But very valuable experiences. I'm so glad we tried it out.
Was it bootstrapping?
Yeah, it was bootstrapping in a way that my co-founder invested some of his own money, but we met some investors, but we didn't have to, which was probably the problem, raise money at the time. So we were talking probably to VCs that were further. We didn't understand these different stages enough and so forth. So bootstrapped. But basically using our own money or the co-founders' money to make our living and build the first product, and we got 5,000 users on consumer mobile products and interesting small things. We are learning these things, like we were one of the first advertisers on when AdWords was launched on mobile devices, mobile device targeting. We were able to buy clicks for 1 or 2 US cents per click, and we were able to kind of get to the next level with those kind of things. But then the motivation was not there anymore, and we could have continued. I think it could have worked if we had stayed there, and if this and that, but that was the end result.
Mm-hmm. And then you moved back to Finland after this.
Yeah. I love and still love California. I don't love Florida and Miami area that much, even though it's fun and nice. I came to Finland for the summer. I never lived in Helsinki before, so I thought I'll stay 2 or 3 months in Helsinki and work from here. We were still kind of running the business. It was 2006, and from the how the city felt, it was amazing summer. This like a heat wave started early June, unlike this year, And after just a few weeks, I felt that I don't want to go back. I called my friends in Miami, sent my car and my stuff. I'm gonna stay here, and I didn't know what to do. I don't think that my co-founder also moved to Europe, but not to Helsinki, and wasn't sure what to do. So I decided that hey, next step in studies. So I applied to the MBA program at the Helsinki School of Economics, which is part of Aalto University nowadays. Got in and started full-time studies after the summer.
Mm-hmm. So when you failed in Miami, what kind of feelings you had and what kind of mindset you had at that time?
I think I really started to learn about feelings per se in my late 30s. So it was not something that I understood well enough. And one of the important learnings afterwards that usually you have different feelings at the same time on different levels and so forth. And then maybe the strongest one is something you concentrate on, but there are other feelings as well. And we didn't hit a kind of a hard wall. It was just a constant struggle, and maybe the expectations were different and so forth. And obviously it didn't feel good that I think mostly from both ways between my co-founder is that we kind of or at least I felt that I let him down somehow or something like that. So this bit of a disappointment, and we did have good parties in Miami, and the hangovers did not help with these feelings, to be honest.
Yeah, because I was in the same situation like you, but in Spain when I was building my first startup related to agriculture machinery, and I managed to cover the whole Catalonia with having all companies on my website, but then came COVID and other things which affected to failure, and I came back to Finland, and it was like quite difficult situation, emotional situation for me, talking to my friends which were like, hey, what happened? Because you was posting that you are building something and it looks successful, that you have clients, but then bam, and you are here with
yeah, I understand that those are always difficult situations. I think what helped me is that I don't think I got a full burnout or anything like that. So I was able to get back on my feet quite fast, and I had my kind of a support from my family, and I didn't have any debt. This sort of the financial situation was kind of a stable, and I didn't have any serious health issues or anything like that. So usually when you run into this sort of deep corner and dark place, multiple different things contribute to it, and it was just work, it was just business that didn't go that well, and the expectations were wrong, and we understood that we were young and inexperienced in that. So, it wasn't a huge thing that I've seen many people suffer from. So I was maybe also a bit lucky that I was able to get that experience and those learnings without the complete meltdown.
Exactly, and you gained the most valuable experience from San Francisco, so that's the best ones.
Yeah, definitely. It was much bigger. I would say almost like a brand benefit that I could have ever imagined. My background and this story that I've been telling now, and also been telling in many meetings before this, really touches people and makes people listen to me. And it's been amazing how much it has helped in my career after that. And it doesn't have to be California, Silicon Valley. First of all, the international experience, living in another country, it should be mandatory for anyone, especially any university students. You learn so much. First and foremost, you start to understand the good things we have here in Finland, or appreciate them in a different way. And if in your business area, whatever that is, if it's IT or something else, you go to a country and a hub and a kind of environment where the best of the best people and companies are. Ex-colleague of mine worked in France in a fashion industry, in a fashion house, and those kind of things make a big difference, both from the practical and actual, learnings point of view, but also from the story and the communications point of view.
Yeah, and I'm totally agree about international experience, and I see Aalto and Lund universities, they are quite investing a lot of money for traveling students to Silicon Valley and other different kind of startup countries where they can touch and learn from the founders, their experience and their journeys. So that's very interesting, in a way, investment in next generations.
Yeah, it's amazing experience, important, and also the student organizations at Aalto have organized those trips and exchanges and work placements for 10-15 years already, and many of the successful startup entrepreneurs have participated on those trips, so it has really made a difference.
And you are one of the evidence that strategy works.
Yeah, I guess so. It's always difficult to kind of put yourself on a scale that I know that the business is good, and we our clients are loving the San Francisco agency work, and the team is amazing and really motivated. But then I can also compare myself to the probably 1 or 200 super successful startup entrepreneurs who made millions from this business. So I think from the finance and business point of view, I don't. It's hard for me to say that I'm successful yet, but hopefully one day.
But there is always bigger fish. So
Yes.
okay, so continue your life story after MBA.
That was a first like a full-time study experience after high school. So my path has been a bit different than most people go from high school to university and so forth full-time and participate on the student activities and all that. But that was a full-time, maybe 6 days a week at least, like a hard study in a great group and professors visiting all around the world, and it was a great experience. After my study, I was again thinking what to do next and how, and I got connected to a startup entrepreneur building his own business, and got involved with that, and we were able to get the company to found it, registered in Finland, and help to get it going. I was asked to join as the CEO of the company, but at the same time I had talked with Nokia on still being the biggest like a smartphone maker in the world and so forth, and tapping into this online internet-based businesses. So they were investing a lot in that, and also advertising space. And because of my advertising experience with my startup and consulting work in Silicon Valley, I was able to get a job and at Nokia in the Nokia interactive advertising unit. The idea was to be one of the monetization engines for Nokia's internet services. So I chose that instead, and got another amazing experience in a big dynamic company, and with a brand that I really loved.
Mm-hmm. And the position was quite good, no? For Nordic countries.
Yeah, title on my business card said country manager Nordics. It was mostly a sales and business development job. So we were building a advertising network, basically with suppliers being operators and media companies. So I was able to do deals in basically in all the foreign Nordic countries, and then selling advertising space through media agencies or directly to brands. So online banners made on optimized on mobile, and that was the space. And the unit was very innovative. They had a lot of these ideas on how the phones can be used for navigation and ticketing and payments and all that already back in the day. So that was the part of the brand and the strategy, and many of those things only materialized maybe 10 years later are now used every day by us, and we don't even realize it. But I felt even at Nokia as being a bit of an entrepreneur or entrepreneur. My boss was based in London, and I was based in Helsinki or Espoo headquarters, and I got a lot of freedom, and it was a great job as well. But that also ended quite quickly with Nokia's first troubles in keeping up with the mobile phone business, and the unit was scaled down.
That was my next question. Like, what makes you to change from dream work in corporate to become entrepreneur and founding San Francisco agency?
Yeah. That was interesting times. I think besides Silicon Valley, Nokia was also an amazing thing on the CV. So how old I was, 30 years old or 31 years old or something like that. My CV was really good. So I got headhunters calling me all the time, and I got job offer from Google, for example, that I declined because the job was in Dublin, and after the US experience and how I felt love with the city of Helsinki, I wanted to stay here, and the opportunities. I didn't get the job here in Helsinki that I really wanted, or the opportunities were not that interesting. And because I got this exit package from Nokia, I had several months to think about and plan things, and it was a very natural option for me to found another company and start doing this what I call like a marketing services business, professional services business after the Nokia experience.
How long it took you to build agency and to gain first custom clients?
I think I got the first clients immediately, or even before I started the company. I just reached out to people, talked to people. Social media, especially Facebook, was big at the time in 2009. This Facebook pages or fan pages, which were they called back in the day, were just launched, and most of the Finnish brands were not, they didn't understand what's going on, and so it was kind of easy to get into that business in a small scale. I did have an office from the beginning, and also work with a couple of other freelancers, or 3 freelancers in the beginning. But there were like 2 directions. One was Facebook marketing for brands. We had really good brands. I worked with another advertising agency, performance marketing agency, which we got clients and good meetings through them. And then there was another direction, a Swedish SaaS company, software company that I got introed through a Finnish investor. Also people I had met in San Francisco back in the day, having beers, this sort of a network that I've been actively building and nurturing since that time, and that was really exciting, not the least from the fact that why does a Swedish company hire a Finnish marketing person there? I first succeeded in sales, selling their solution to Finnish media companies, and quite soon they asked me. That was actually an interesting turnout that I started with sales, and they had a really nice brand and website. After a while, I realized that the company is not doing any active marketing or communications, and I asked the CEO, why is that? Is that like Swedes supposed to be very good in marketing? And he said, his reply was basically that, well, we have tried to tweet, use Twitter back in the day, but we didn't get any business, or we don't know what to do, and so forth. And they just had raised a funding round from this, led by this Finnish investor, and suggested that, hey, let's try out, reaching out to the press, get the word out. And he wasn't really first a little bit skeptical that why would we do that, and why is funding important? Like it's like getting a mortgage. Like it's not a newsworthy thing. You give away your ownership in exchange for money, and but I had followed this like how media like TechCrunch talks about these companies and always made it very exciting. By the way, again, one of the Silicon Valley amazing experiences was that I was visiting the first TechCrunch parties at the founder Michael Harrington's home in Silicon Valley when he lived there. So that was the small community in very, very early days of TechCrunch.
In 2001?
No, he was running these events in 2004, first year I lived there. And I thought it was, this is my problem often is that I take things for granted, and I always think it's obvious for everybody that if you are building a startup and raise funding, of course you need to be in the press and TechCrunch need to write about you and so forth. But he let me try it. He trusted me, so he let me try it out. I wrote a press release and pitched it to a journalist at TechCrunch and a few other outlets, and TechCrunch wrote the story, and it felt really good. I had done a little bit of PR before that, but I was really novice and didn't know what to do. And for me, it was just selling the story. So the one thing I did right is that I didn't send out press releases. I didn't spam people. I wrote a friendly email telling, hey, I have this. I'm working with this Swedish SaaS company doing this, and they have just raised money. Would you be interested? That's it. And the journalist replied in 15 minutes that, hey, yeah, can you send more information? And I had the press release ready, and we got the story out. But the important thing here was that, the next day or 2 days after, the CEO called me. It's like asking, what did you do? Because all of these VCs he had tried to reach out before and called him. His American competitors called him because they've been totally under the radar until that moment. Nobody knew about it in that space, which is like a call tracking or phone analytics space. So that made a huge difference, and everybody was super happy. So and I got really excited about this. So he asked me if I would like to join the team and be employed by the company, and I said that I really want to continue, but I've been back and forth entrepreneur and employee, so I want to keep on this entrepreneur road. So we were able to do a kind of a consulting deal that I worked full time with them for a couple of years as the head of marketing for this startup. We grew from 2 countries to 13 countries back time, and I basically did all the basics, what I felt like are the basics, like SEO, Google advertising, social media communications, PR, content, all that for the company, and that was really, again, one of the most valuable experiences I've had.
2 things which I would like to point out. The first one, that one person, skilled and experienced and well-connected person, can change totally the journey of startup.
At least back in the day. Things might be a bit different today, but yeah.
And the second one, if I heard correctly, and this brings to article which I was reading about you. First, you're working for your name or brand or social capital, specifically in Finnish ecosystem. You can work for many years, and then later you can pull back for yourself something. And this is related to investor from San Francisco, which you get know first there, meet them, and then they invested in this company, and this is work like after many years.
Yeah, exactly. I think people have different think differently about this, networking thing and meeting people. I don't know exactly why. I'm quite introverted, I think, myself as a starting point, but I felt that in Silicon Valley, I just felt that it's important, and then I was brave enough to try it out and learned it's actually quite fun and easy in this like American culture where everybody is friendly and amazing connections. Like I was at this small event, listening to this Indian guy talking on the panel, and then I learned that he was one of the most successful India originated entrepreneurs and investors in Silicon Valley, and actually a board member at Google during the IPO year of 2004, and he was it was 20-second friendly conversation. He gave his business card, and I actually was able to use that even during those times to find the right connections at Google. I emailed this board member, and he replied in a few hours and introduced the right person inside the company. So those were proof points that it's really, at least for me, and in this sales, business development, fundraising, or M&A work, it's all about the connections and building those connections systematically and in a high quality way is a valuable, super valuable asset.
Yeah, also very interesting fact which you just mentioned, that he was high level person in the business ecosystem.
Yeah.
And he answered you like super fast, like couple of hours.
Yeah.
I also see that in communication with other entrepreneurs, that they are very fast in answering me to my request, to my invitation to join this podcast or other things. But then when I'm talking with some friends or with my colleagues, sometimes they're answering like 2-3 days. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I think somebody just wrote on Facebook. He was maybe complaining is the right word about how slow the Finnish government officials are in getting meetings. So sometimes it takes 5 months to get a meeting and so forth, and nobody is answering the people. Some people working in the government don't answer emails and our phone calls and even that. But the Silicon Valley culture is about messaging and building this like trust and helping each other out, and quickly responding to messages and all that. And I think it's spread out, so many people are like that. First I contacted the new vice mayor of Helsinki in June because I had some issue that I wasn't able to solve with the city, and she also replied to me in a few minutes on the Instagram and helped me to solve the issue. So I think that amazing culture, which I really love, has been spreading, and that's really great. I have to say, on the other hand, spread of AI and automation is a bit ruining this at the moment also, because I have decided a couple of years ago that I can't anymore answer all the emails that I get, because it's so obvious that they are automatically generated and sent, and it never stops. So that's why maybe intros are again, like we got connected through an intro. It has become more valuable, and again the network, and it's part of the building that.
And in Valosan you also have AI.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Our path with different AI solutions and machine learning in the PR context started long time ago. It was obviously machine learning and this like technology developed for decades already, but those became part of at least the Finnish startup ecosystem maybe 10 years ago or even more, 12 years ago. We started to talk to some of the software companies having some machine learning or AI components. So when this tsunami of AI happened with the ChatGPT, how long is it now? I don't remember, 2.5 years, something like that. I was a little bit bored in the beginning. Oh, not again, no more AI. I've been bored with AI already, and so forth. But obviously, it has already made a big difference in many industries, and I think the bigger changes are still coming. So we haven't seen half of it. Obviously, it's a lot of over expectations also, and hype, and there will be crashes and disappointments and all that. But the end result again is new ways of doing things and technology changing the world and the culture. By the way, that being the part of why I got involved in the first place when I was 15 years old, it's always been the driving force of constantly getting excited about new things and how they actually affect people's lives and companies and businesses and culture. So AI has a big effect, definitely, and we've been now with the Valosan platform, which we started to build 4 years ago. We've been and also with the agency, we've been experimenting with AI stuff with our CTO Ruslan for a couple of years now, and I think biggest impact so far has been on software development, because basically he has built the platform by himself, a platform that the agency uses every day, and the clients can access it to see how the campaigns are going, and it has made a big difference in our day-to-day work. But not just building, but maintaining things. I don't think it would be possible without these modern AI tools. On the other work, it has had maybe smaller difference so far, especially with content writing that people are constantly talking about. I think the content writing is still in its infancy in a way that it can make a very poor writer a mediocre writer. I'm not a great writer by the way. I have some sort of even reading dyslexia type of issues, but it has maybe made me a mediocre writer from a poor writer. So yay, that's great. But for the great writers, it has not made a big difference on it, and journalists can immediately see, at least now, if something is written by AI. So I would be very careful in using it that context. But then doing research, summarizing big boring reports and finding industry trends, finding the relevant media for each story, these sort of things that we use AI every day. And even on content, there's a big possibility that is still coming, and in a couple of years you can't see the difference, but it's not here yet fully.
Mm-hmm. Coming back to CTO, who is co-founder of Valosan, I know Ruslan was working previously in a San Francisco agency, so it was.
Yeah. The story goes so that that was a lucky thing also. San Francisco agency, as many other companies, faced some difficulties when the COVID hit, and we got amazing support from the Finnish government and this a grant to develop something new, and I had this software idea back of my head already some time, and I had done some trials and prototypes earlier that had failed because I've bought kind of a prototype from an external party. And I thought, I could do the same. That was the easy way out to get a prototype. But I was able to find Ruslan for the team to develop the first version of Valosan, again through my network. So another amazing, fun story how we met. But yeah, we work under San Francisco first, and then span out Valosan. Was it 22 as a separate entity that because we wanted to kind of keep the agency business and the software business separately in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Once again, networking, it's very important.
Yeah, I think it's not 100% of the time. Not every startup needs to do PR. They can succeed without that. It's all about the context and what you do, and you may only need one person that helps you further, or you may not need that if you have some sort of world-class, amazing technical skills. You don't have to talk to anybody. You just convince any employer or investor on your skills. But for most of us, I think there's a great return. So the time invested to it pays back amazingly, at least in my experience.
Coming back to the same topic, but if we compare Finnish ecosystem, where we have to invest in personal brand, in gaining social weight many years before pulling up back something. And if we compare to San Francisco, for example, ecosystem, does it the same vibes or does it works in different way? How it's there and how it's here?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities. Building trust takes time. But even here, I've seen people coming to this startup ecosystem and building something. Like there was this one guy who built this like ecosystem map, which mapped all the organizations in the ecosystem, and that was definitely something that everybody needed and nobody else had done. Or
Is he from Aalto?
yeah. And I think it happened very fast that everybody started to talk to me, and when I asked people about some ecosystem stuff, he was recommended by a lot of people I talked to. So it doesn't always take a lot of time. It might take this smart things like I've done in marketing. When I started Facebook marketing, I had a website called Funnylista, which ranked the Finnish brands on Facebook. Even media wrote about it, and quite quickly I was able to get a hold of that industry. And then 2013 I launched this Startup 100 website with the startup ranking system, which is still live and kicking today, and many investors are following it. Those were some innovative ideas you can build, or you can build a media channel like you are doing with the podcast. So looking forward to that.
And also, thank you for this kind of opportunity to have filming this episode here. This is one of your also own project, co-working space. Maybe you can mention and tell also about that.
Yeah, we are here in E28 community over the rooftops in Kamppi, Helsinki. Many of the things I do have been organic and solutions to a problem. We just needed a new space for San Francisco agency. And then I had fairly high expectations. I wanted something cool, either a nice view or a sauna or party place or something like that. We didn't find a place with all of those amenities, but we don't have a sauna here, but we have a great view over the city and really relaxed, nice community, outdoor space. A place where you can come with your friends or colleagues to have a drinks after hard days of work, watch some football or do some gaming or hobbies. So I feel that for the community of maybe around 50 people, it's our own community and our own space. It's not a commercial space. We don't have a reception. We only have monthly members here who start to know each other quite well. So a happy place for me to come to work.
From my side, I can mention also that location is fantastic. It's super near to Kamppi. The terrace it's huge and you can enjoy the view. And also you have shower here, so everything what you need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, coming back to San Francisco agency and Valosan, if we compare, this is two different type of business. What kind of challenges you had building both?
Yeah, so San Francisco agency has gone through different phases. That first being my own kind of a personal consulting business, and then a startup marketing agency, and then latest the PR and comms agency for Nordic tech companies. So I would say that if you think from the risk and return perspective, professional services or consulting businesses, some call them, are usually less risky, usually grow slower, because you always have to hire new people to serve more clients and all that, and the risk then comes from the pricing model and the brand and how good work you do with your clients and what kind of talent you're able to hire to the company. It's all about the people. Whereas a startup, which I call scalable companies that are usually based on software or some sort of a science-based innovation, not only software, so it can be materials technology or some other like a high-tech stuff. There's usually high risk because you need to make so many things go right. Needs to be solid background with the technology and really even much higher kind of right match with the right team members, founding team and investors and so forth. And it's a big bet for both for the founders and the investors. And many startups, most startups fail, and it's very easy to see in practice when you work in this industry for 20 years. But the return that can then be amazing, and this is something that the country, Finland and all the other Nordic countries really need, is the new Supercell, Volt, Supermetrics, this sort of a level companies, more 100 million euro companies that are making a difference to the whole economy and helping us to compete in the business and being able to that we can maintain this amazing social system and the safety on the street, that we don't end up being like San Francisco in a way, which is sad to say, but that's the reality. So we really need those businesses, and then we need businesses like San Francisco agency that are doing their own part in helping out growing those businesses.
Finnish market is quite small if we compare to other countries, but you are helping with PR go global. What kind of advice, or what is your opinion about that? Because to scale up from Finland maybe requires more effort.
Yeah, it's a very common discussion. I don't think there's one particular way to make it right. It depends on the context and it depends on the culture as well. I think there have been very few big consumer brands, startup brands from Finland. Oura is clearly the number one, but mostly Finns have been really engineering driven, B2B, building this trust and not lying when doing sales, when being maybe sometimes too honest. And sometimes it's a strength that it's a small market. You go abroad very early stage, but Europe particularly is very fragmented. So if you need to do localization or somehow adapt to different cultures, it's quite slow and difficult compared to building a business in the US. And then I think if you think about building a global business, you could say that some of the US businesses, at least in the past, have had the weakness of having a big home market and being able to build that 100 million or billion euro business in the US and not had to go to Europe. And then European companies have been copying what they do and building their own thing there. And sometimes those companies have been merging. And obviously there are the fun companies are exception, but those are longer route. So it depends on so many things. You can also build a great business here in Helsinki and just selling the technology in this small niche if you want to be best in a small niche.
What is your personal opinion on the statement that Finnish people are humble? They know very well the product, but then they are not so good in marketing or PR or sales.
Yeah, I think that's a common notion, and we are all different. I think. I don't have any research on this, but it's both true and not true. I think there are a lot of great salespeople, amazing marketers in Finland, and the style is maybe it's easier for a Swede to sell to Americans than it's for the Finns. But once you get to know that you can really trust people and so forth, and then you don't have that issue anymore. But we shouldn't repeat being bad in marketing. I think when San Francisco agency started as a marketing agency, the first slide said that we want to do best marketing in the world with this startup. So you need to be bolder and learn to do things and not to be too humble.
Okay, before we ending this episode, maybe you could tell some kind of very funny or interesting story from San Francisco agency or Valosan, related to your customer or related to company.
Yeah. Oh, so many so many stories. Yeah, I think the from the PR work perspective, when we had when we worked with Oura back in the day, early days with Oura, and the media found the Oura ring on the prince's finger. It was quite amazing flood and tsunami of requests and everybody working almost 24/7 to meet all the requests and so forth. So it was amazing, also a lucky thing for this client that happened. And wrong expectation for the startup entrepreneurs to think that PR is about hype and you need to build hype to get a thing, or you have to do some crazy stuff. It's almost never the case. But when you have this lucky coincidence, when you do a lot of stuff and then something really kind of blows up in a positive way, that can make a huge difference. And then you need to be prepared for crisis communications and taking the full advantage of it.
From your personal opinion, what is important to be entrepreneur?
That's a really great question. There's a lot of different kinds of entrepreneurs, and whether you're a startup entrepreneur or you want to make your own living as a freelancer, or you build professional services or any kind of a business, those are different types of businesses and require different skills and mentality and all that. But what is common to all of those, the starting point is to understand who you are as a person, accept your strengths and weaknesses, and build your business and the environment on that. That's the balance, that's the sustainable way of doing things. I think some of these super successful entrepreneurs building 100 million, billion euro businesses may not agree. There was a post from Harry Stebbings, a podcast host and an investor, who said that he finds the two characteristics always in these super founders is that you actually believe that you are better than anybody else, and then you are never satisfied how hard you work and how good you are, and those combination of that. And I don't disagree that can be true, but it's also risky. It can lead to a burnout. It can lead to very bad things in what we've learned with some of the startup scams, for example, that raised tens of hundreds of millions of euros of funding without any basis. I think that can be the end result as well. So, but that can lead to great things as well. But for me personally, it starts from really understanding who I am. I might have not known that when I was in my 20s. Learn better and know better now, and then base your business and the way of working based on that. And you should always listen to advice, but then make again your own decisions and build your own thing. There's nothing 100% similar. You should never copy everything. You can copy the best parts, but you always have to adjust it to yourself. And then take care of yourself. The number one thing is sleep. Some people may sleep for 5 hours and that's enough for them, and others need 8 hours. And you can't help it. If you need 8 hours, you can't constantly sleep only for 5 hours and sleep. Then do the work. And for me, work-life balance is important. I have never done long days often, but not constantly. I think there's also now discussion about this 996 or 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week kind of, and that's the only way to success. I think it can be a faster way to a bigger success, but it can also lead to a crash. So decide yourself. That's the great thing of being an entrepreneur, that you understand what you want to do, who you are, and then you build something which looks and feels like yourself. And advice, personal advice, also very like a health related thing, is that it's valuable to measure your sleep. This becomes Oura advert again, but it's made a great difference. And I personally suffered from sleep apnea for 10 to 20 years probably without me knowing it, and also only getting cured for it 5 years ago, and things have been better since then. but it's hard to tell if you don't measure it. So measuring and combining those metrics with your feelings, you need to be sustainable. You can do sprints, you can work really hard for a few weeks, maybe months, but often that's not sustainable. For some people it might be, but you need to get so many things right with your sleep and sports and healthy eating and all that, or otherwise you risk your health for your work and business, and I don't think it's worth it.
Two points which I would like to raise up from your speech. The first one, I'm totally agree about the balance between work and life. However, if we think about funded heavily VC startup from Silicon Valley or from Berlin, for example, they have to be based on the best. So they are competing against the world, which requires from founders to be 24/7. So what is your opinion?
Yeah, I think, again, there are different people. Some people are super talented and on their own field of work and might not require to do longer days. Some people are just learning. You may have to compensate your lack of experience with longer days. Part of the Finnish culture and Nordic culture is the work-life balance, having 5 weeks of summer holiday, going to Mökki and leaving to get your kid from the daycare at 5 p.m. That's our way of living. You can do it differently here as well, but there's a big difference if you go even to Estonia or the US and UK and many other countries, is that the culture is much more hardworking. But again, it's one way to do it. It's not the only way.
And also regarding how to start and when to start, I was reading an article where you was talking that it's better to gain first experience and then build the startup. So maybe you can...
Yeah, many startups are built like that. Again, there are different ways of doing it. I think some of the biggest unicorns in Finland have started so that people come together and figure out what to do. Like, let's found a startup and figure out what to do. And some of them have been amazingly successful. But those are rare exceptions. I would say that most people work in their field, in science, research, software, other field for years as an employee or a researcher or something like that, and then jump into building a startup when they realize that they have reached a saturation point that they don't learn anymore. They are already in top 0.1% best in the world, and it's time to found a startup. I think that's a common thing I see with a lot of early success startup founders.
So if I hear correctly, it seems that you have to go deep first in your specific business sector, gain expertise, and then build in the same sector some kind of solution for businesses, not going outside of your bubble.
Yeah, it's one way to do it. I think it reduces risk in that business. The other side of the coin is that you might end up doing things in a very similar way as everybody else. I think there's been some success cases that you have learned, some, I don't know, branding, marketing in one industry, and then jumped into completely other industry that you don't know anything about how the industry works, but you bring your domain expertise in the area into a different industry, and all of a sudden you're completely different than anybody else. And if you hit that, problem solution fit or product market fit in that mode, that can also lead to a success.
From your point of view, what is the best amount of co-founders should be in the team when they are starting new?
Well, yeah, people say if you want to go fast, you go alone, and if you're gonna want to go far, then you go with the group. I had one of the things that I can attribute my failed US startup with is that we were not open enough and didn't talk enough with my co-founder. And when I founded San Francisco agency, I had a couple of minority owners in it, but still I was the single founder. I wanted to do things on my own, maybe from that experience. recent point of view, it's hard to tell how would the company be bigger or even more successful if I've had equal co-founders in the company. But I've been doing this by myself. Single founders are usually a big red flag to investors. There are some amazing companies built as almost like a single founder, but sometimes single founder can be also a communication strategy. In reality, there are more founders in the team, but if you think from the investor's point of view, is that they usually look for teams that have 2, 3, 4, 5 co-founders that bring very strong experience in different areas.
Okay. I think our videographer has some questions for Juhani.
Yes, so I have one question that I hear a lot from people running their own PR, marketing, or social media agencies. Finding clients is often a real challenge. So, what worked for you, and what would you tell someone trying to find clients in 2026?
Really great question. Also, if you have an agency, you have maybe multiple person or you're freelancer. It's a slightly different. But I think what's important when you do work with clients from early on, already when you are negotiating with a client, try to ask if you are able to use them as a public reference, or once this goes really well, could you give me a testimonial or something, and can I use just a reference? In 80-90% of the cases, it's fine, and then you can use those references. Really telling your own personal story. How did you end up doing that? Show your excitement about the business you do. I've been always, I don't have to fake it. Otherwise, when I really get excited, it shows, and you should show it as well in meetings or online. Do a video of yourself explaining how exciting about this new, AI thing is for your, clients or business and so forth. So, really great websites are still important, explaining your story and the client references there, and reaching out to clients. This links to my earlier comment on the messaging that I had a long time. I was proud that if somebody sent me a private email or message on any channel, I always responded to that. Not everybody has done it, and I maybe understand that when you have dozens of messages coming every day, it's just impossible. But this AI automation has changed it a couple of years ago. So nowadays I get, 3 to 5 clearly automated emails, and I decided not to respond to those. And I get these follow-ups, and then I just archive those messages, because even no means that there will be even more contact. So I just had to ignore it. So call people. We hired our first SDR or sales guys a year ago at San Francisco agency, and they have done a major difference in our sales pipeline. And their main contact method is a phone call. So I don't still get many phone calls, 3-5 calls a week from salespeople, and I can. It's easy to not respond, send a message. How can I help? This sort of thing. So I still try to be responsive, but it's amazing to see how lazy people are calling, and yeah. And then events are still here or back after the COVID era. Super important, and then I keep going to events related to startups and technology and innovation in Finland and abroad. Nothing beats a face-to-face connection at the relevant event.
Yes, I totally agree, especially about events. I've been to quite a few, and thanks to them, I've ended up working with different people. And actually, one of the recent events I went to helped me start this podcast with Yori. And since we're talking about events, I know you were at Slush. Can you share a bit about how was it?
Yeah, I've been to Slush every year since 2009 at least. I'm not sure if I went to the first one. I might have missed it because I worked at Nokia at the time. In the beginning, it was super important for San Francisco agency. We got a lot of our clients there, and we also cooperated closely with the SLUS organizers, especially from the media and PR perspective. And one of the small things that key things that I'm really proud of that is that we got the CNBC TV crew to film at SLUS back in the day. And nowadays SLUS is a bit different than it was in the beginning. It's still a great event, and it works really well when you are raising money, especially A rounds and bigger rounds. It's almost impossible sometimes to, at least as efficiently meet so many relevant people, and how SLUS reinvents itself all the time, and the team switches to a new one, and so many young people learn from that experience. So we have this call it the SLUS mafia in a way that people have gained experience from there. So it's amazing, but it's also a big event. So having these happy coincidences, which I call people who go to talk to a random person and it happens to be your next client or something like that. It's more difficult the bigger the event gets. So that's one thing, but everybody should experience SLUS at least once, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I know your hobbies is boating.
Yeah. I'm a sailor that happens to own a motorboat right now, but it's more than boating. It's the ocean, sea environment, and even tapping into this what people call the blue economy. So how to work in the sea and using the resources that the sea is offering, and at the same time also trying to help out the sea that we have really polluted badly, especially here in the Baltic. So that's important thing for me, the environment and sailing in the Finnish archipelago, and also in the Caribbean and Mediterranean. And that's my long-term dream. My main goal as an entrepreneur to buy a big enough boat one day to go around the world. And
so I was going to ask, is there something from boating, are you implementing something in the business world?
Yeah, well, in at least small scale, I'm about to launch a new community called Sailors in Tech. And the idea is there to combine business and pleasure in a way. We did our first amazing trip to the Caribbean this February with Finnish startup founders and investors, and I'm planning to continue that and scale it a little bit bigger. So because there are events, boating and sailing events targeted to startup ecosystem and founders, a few of them already around the world. So I want to go to those events and connect them each other and build this community. And it started from leisure, but now I'm more and more interested in this blue economy. So we have this amazing new event and ecosystem in Finland called A-Pelago, or Archipelago as a short, and going to the main event of the year in a couple of weeks. And there are amazing startups, including also our clients that are working on the sea ecosystem resources, and also saving the seas.
Sounds very interesting. I'd like to ask you, could you name someone whose story you would like to hear, our next guest?
Yes, let me think. I think there are a few. I would say that you want to hear from one of these, unicorn builders, the founders, like Mikael Thunberg or somebody else who have a amazing success journey in the startup world. So definitely that, and also from the learning perspective, Morten Mikkos is amazing guy now teaching at the Aalto University in the new founder startup program. Plenty of other names, but a successful startup entrepreneur and some sort of ecosystem builder, educator would be amazing.
Okay, Juhani, thank you very much for this opportunity to have you as a guest. I believe we had a lot of insights and very interesting your personal story. For the last thing, I would like to ask you, maybe you can share some kind of advice or motivation speech for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, first advice is just get started. I think don't worry that much about the bureaucracy or grants, and it's all about the clients and trying to figure out the problems and reaching out to them, be helpful and be interested and excited about what they do. You can sell first, then build later, or even found your company later. So that would be the main thing. And some things can be done as a side hustle with your main work, and there's been good success stories on it. But if you're really seriously building a real business, a sustainable business like a professional services business or a startup, then you have to jump in full time at some point. Investors will demand that, or the business will require that quite quickly. But there's nothing wrong in testing out something and contacting people and building a website before founding a company. That's a great way to start.
Absolutely love it. I'm always saying that sell air first before having something, and this is just confirming again my theory. Okay, thank you very much for having this opportunity, and that's it.
Thank you.